Alright, let's talk about these made-up stories we keep telling ourselves. First one you've heard a million times. No pain, no gain. Bro, that's complete bullshit. Whenever someone reaches any kind of success, they jump behind the podium, grab the mic, and go, "It was all the grind, baby. I built this from nothing." Most of the time, straight up cap. They're lying. A lot of them were born into rich families, inherited money without breaking a sweat, and that inheritance basically guaranteed their success. Some were born with insane physical genetics, bodies that get results with almost no training. Tall, beautiful face. Where's the so-called mountain of effort in that? Or some people were born with one-of-a-kind brain genetics, packed with crazy natural talent, without ever having to grind. The playing field was never even, because there's no justice in the universe. Justice is just something we humans made up to keep order in our little groups. In the real world, it doesn't exist. And the craziest part? Most of these success gurus actually believe their own bullshit. All these successful people love calling themselves self-made. That's total nonsense. Take away all of their success and tell them to start from zero again. Most of them couldn't do it. Because timing, location, relationships, opportunities, family, environment, and money did most of the heavy lifting. It was just a gift from their circumstances. Millions of people put in the same effort, sometimes even more. But the microphone and the spotlight only go to the lucky few who got that gift. That's exactly when you feel it. That punch of unfairness. Your brain starts screaming, why? It needs a reason. So it begins inventing nice, logical, fair-sounding stories. You're suffering because you must have done something bad. It's just like getting punished in school. As if the world is one big classroom and there's always someone watching, keeping score. If you can't find any reason in this life, then it must have been from your past lives, right? So you start stacking story after story with zero evidence. Reincarnation, karma, all that. We don't believe stories because they're true. We believe them because they make us feel better. Comfort feels better than truth, and our brain knows it. Now, story number 2. The Law of Attraction. One of the most seductive made-up stories ever created. It says, think it, ask for it, and the universe will deliver. The whole argument is based on personal experience. When you want something badly and it finally happens, you go, see, I attracted it. But they completely ignore the hundreds of thousands of times you wanted something with all your heart, and it never happened. Because this law is built on cherry-picked experiences, why can't we flip it? Maybe the thing was already going to happen anyway, and that's why it came to your mind first. With this logic, you can literally invent any story you want. There's zero scientific proof for any of this, unless you really want to believe it exists. Story 3. Religion. There's that famous story, the baby who gets abandoned in a river and later grows up to become the savior of his people. It was actually told 4,300 years ago about Sargon, the emperor of Akkad. In another story, the creation of humans in the Garden of Eden, that first appeared 5,000 years ago in ancient Sumerian texts. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, a guy named Utnapishtim builds a huge boat on the god's command, puts his family and 2 of every animal inside it. After a massive flood, the boat lands on a mountain. Interestingly, this story is about 4,000 years old, and the actual clay tablets discovered from it are kept in the British Museum in London right now. In another story, Zoroaster created the concept of judgment after death. He said that after you die, your soul has to cross the bridge of Chinvat. If you were a good person, the bridge becomes wide and you go to heaven. If you were bad, the bridge becomes razor thin and you fall into the valley of hell. And you know when this story was invented? 3,000 years ago. If these stories sound familiar to you, maybe it's a wake-up call that we should dig deeper, ask questions, and actually do some research. The human search for meaning and order eventually led us to invent tools like morality, religion, justice, and logic. Having a shared belief in one myth or one story helped small human groups unite, cooperate, and trust each other. On the other hand, These same myths could also give legitimacy to violence and the oppression and corruption that rulers imposed on people based on those beliefs. Humans are constantly looking for meaning and certainty. When we face complexity or the unknown, we reach for a simple, familiar, and reassuring story. Simple stories give us a sense of control and security. In short, our mind prefers to lean on a familiar story rather than face a complexity and actually discover the truth. Your beliefs and convictions are basically a reflection of the amount of information and awareness you have. We're desperate for meaning. When we face complexity, we reach for simple, comforting stories. Our mind would rather believe a familiar lie than face the messy truth. Story 4. Country and Identity. Hundreds of years ago, some tribes and groups of humans drew borders for trade and security. Those borders became labels stuck on the people living in that region. National identity, language, names, customs, and culture of that area are all completely made up. They are not natural truths. Sometimes we forget that we all share one common root, and our DNA is the same. Country and region are not our real identity. In reality, there are no real borders. There's just a bunch of human beings on this planet who honestly don't know why they exist. And finally, story number 5. The invention of morality. Let's be real. Humans aren't born with a little instruction booklet that tells us what's right and wrong. We made all that shit up ourselves. No child is born with morality. Ethics were invented in small tribes so people could cooperate and survive. These values are not universal. They change from culture to culture. In one place, respecting elders is everything. In another individual, freedom is king. Morality was invented in small, early human groups as an answer to the question, what should we do? How should we behave with each other? At first, it was created for cooperation, order, and survival. Over time, it developed into what we have today. When humans realized that if they wanted to stay alive, they had to work together, that's when a set of moral rules was invented. The universe doesn't give a fuck about us. It's ruthless, indifferent, and completely unfair. So it's up to us to be kind to each other. Morality, justice, and kindness are the only things that keep us human in a universe that doesn't care at all. So yeah, we've been lying to ourselves this whole time. Everything you just heard, most people are not ready for it. This is the conversation nobody wants to have, but someone has to say it. The moment you accept that nothing is fair is the moment you finally become free. So, now that we know all of this, what the hell should we actually do with our lives? Make sure you watch the next part.